Okay, I'd like to call the May 18, 2026 City Council meeting to order at 7 o'clock. You all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, John, got started too quick. Okay, roll call. Councilor Santiago is an excused absence. Everybody else is present tonight. So tonight now we're starting with looking at the agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda or any additions.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to suggest an addition, if we could do just a quick discussion on the CEP process before the calendar.
Okay, number 8, just a quick in work session kind of discussion on the CEP to bring up, especially the new counselors, kind of bring us up to date on the process and how it will proceed. So number 8, and then calendar will be 9 and updates will be 10. Any more changes? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Counselor Haugen, motion to approve agenda as amended. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Council President Miller. Any more discussion? All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now we're up to public comment. This is the place on the agenda where the public is invited to speak to council regarding any matter not on the agenda and not scheduled for a public hearing. Members of the public addressing council are requested to give their name and city of residence. Please try not to repeat questions to allow more speakers. Speakers are to limit their testimony to 5 minutes, as we're limited to 30 minutes total for all public comments. I'll have a timer up there to help. And we do have 2 so far. Ms. Higas, if you'd like to go first.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Higas, and I'm a resident of Scappoose. I listened to the April 20th City Council meeting where the council discussed wanting to ask the community how much more residents are willing to pay for police services. I also listened to the May 11th Budget Committee meeting. After hearing those discussions, I want to be very clear. I do not support asking taxpayers to contribute more money towards systems that are already failing to provide accountability, transparency, and effective leadership. This is not simply a funding issue, it's a leadership issue. My family repeatedly raised serious concerns involving harassment, false reports, and fears of potentially being swatted. Chief Llewellyn personally told me he would follow up on issues, but he didn't. Instead, officers were sent to investigate my family, the people asking for help. We've also had an officer show up at our home over a lost cell phone belonging to someone we didn't even know. No card was left, no explanation was provided. I directly emailed the officer asking why he had come to my house and received no response. I ultimately had to file a public records request just to find out why police were showing up at my home in the first place. Frankly, that experience felt less like community service and more like intimidation or harassment. I have also raised concerns involving cooperation between city leadership and the Scappoose School District. School officials were allowed to initiate a misleading welfare check based on false information, which resulted in an officer interrupting my business during an appointment under false pretenses. Despite those concerns being brought forward, there was no accountability, correction, or an apology from city leadership. Those same concerns about accountability, transparency, and oversight extend beyond policing and into broader city leadership, communication, and budget discussions. I have also raised concerns regarding urban renewal agency grants, questionable eligibility determinations, compliance issues, and the lack of transparency surrounding those decisions. Instead of straightforward answers, I was often met with deflection, incomplete responses, or statements that were not consistent with the records. At the same time, city leadership continues expanding spending while openly acknowledging the city is already operating at a deficit and discussing asking residents to pay even more. Before asking residents for more money, leadership should explain why spending keeps increasing while accountability continues to decrease. This city also talks about public safety, yet residents repeatedly raise concerns about the lack of visible traffic enforcement where it actually matters, including during school pickup and drop-off hours. Recently, a child was hit in a crosswalk at a Highway 30 intersection near the high school. Even the city itself recently acknowledged ongoing traffic violations occurring directly in front of City Hall and the police department. Residents continue seeing obvious traffic and safety concerns go without meaningful enforcement despite repeated community concerns while being asked for more funding. Naturally, residents begin asking, what exactly are taxpayers paying for? From where I'm standing, this council appears willing to reward city leadership regardless of performance, accountability, or transparency. This council approved a 5% raise for the city manager, while serious concerns regarding misconduct, transparency, and oversight were already on the record. Taxpayers should not be expected to continue funding leadership that appears unwilling to properly oversee public resources, uphold its responsibilities, or address unresolved misconduct and accountability failures. The city manager answers to this council, which means this council shares responsibility for what has been allowed to continue. This is not just a police department or city manager issue, it's a city council issue. At the end of the day, this council continues to say the city manager is doing a great job. So I'll ask you all directly, what exactly is he doing well? Because from the outside, it appears accountability is being avoided instead of enforced. If this council truly believes this is good leadership, then I think this community deserves better. If leadership will not hold itself accountable, then eventually the community will do it for you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, Ms. Johnson, Senior Senator, Honorable.
Thank you very much. For the record, my name is Betsy Johnson. I am an unpaid volunteer for Oregonians for Floodplain Protection. And I'm here a little bit embarrassed because I didn't fill out the requisite forms for the Community Enhancement Program grant application, but I'm here to ask you for money. Oregonians for Floodplain Protection sued FEMA and other federal agencies in January of 2025, asking for a halt to the burdensome and expensive land use regulations that impact 31 of Oregon's 36 counties. FEMA threatened to remove non-compliant jurisdictions from the National Floodplain Insurance Program if they failed to adopt the requirements. This causes a number of problems: threats to housing availability and affordability. If FEMA's current regulatory trajectory continues, it would significantly restrain development of nearly all of Oregon's floodplains, including tens of thousands of acres that are not designated as ESA critical habitat, exacerbating Oregon's housing shortage and increasing costs for families. There are threats to public safety. FEMA's own analysis shows that this plan could cause critical infrastructure projects to become cost prohibitive, adversely affecting public health and safety. We lose local control. Communities may be forced to adopt federally dictated land use standards that do not reflect local conditions, priorities, or values in order to comply with ESA provisions that were never intended to and do not apply to local land use processes and decisions. It could jeopardize access to flood insurance and other disaster insurance. Workable requirements could cause jurisdictions to be removed from the National Floodplain Insurance Program, leaving property owners without affordable coverage options and jeopardizing disaster assistance access. Continued regulatory uncertainty, because for over the decades, communities have faced shifting and unclear expectations regarding what will be required to enable them to continue to participate in the National Floodplain Insurance Program, making long-term planning and investment increasingly difficult. Without congressional action, this uncertainty is likely to continue. Oregon Congressman Cliff Bentz has introduced a bill that OFP supports that would stop FEMA from using the National Floodplain Insurance Program like a weapon to force Oregon communities to adopt costly, complicated, and unnecessary standards. So far, our litigation has resulted in FEMA not moving ahead with these regulations. OFP is currently engaged in conversations with FEMA, and absent our legislation, these stringent rules would be in effect by now. FEMA has until fall of 2027 to issue a final environmental impact statement, which is supposed to be issued already under a previous timeline. Our litigation is the reason that FEMA is not moving forward. We need to show as broad base of support as we can, and so I'm asking you to consider a $5,000 contribution to our litigation and administrative efforts to keep FEMA at bay until we can get the legislation passed or get a bill through Congress, or get FEMA to step back, seeing the wisdom of changing their heavy-handed approach to local jurisdictions. You're in good company. We've raised close to $300,000. Number of cities are already involved we have one contribution of $100 and one contribution of $35,000. Warrenton, Toledo, Seaside, Prineville, Clatskanie, the counties of Columbia, Clatsop, Crook, Tillamook, and Wasco, the National Association of Realtors and Oregon Realtors, and the National Association of Home Builders and Oregon House Builders are helping us. So my request, absent having filled out the proper form, and I apologize to all of you, is for you to consider a $5,000 contribution to our litigation effort.
Great, thank you. We will be in discussion with City Manager Bergner.
I'd be happy to fill out the form if you need additional information. I completely believe that our litigation is all that has kept FEMA from just raining grief on local jurisdictions. And I'm optimistic that we will reach a settlement with FEMA. We were delayed while the federal government was shut down, but we're moving towards settlement negotiations.
We'll see what our options are.
Betsy, so have any other members of the Oregon congressional delegation signed on to Cliff Pence's proposal?
We had the litigation, the legislation was just dropped. We have requests into them. But at this moment, I can't answer your question. I don't know. But certainly the rest of the delegation know about it because we've reached out to them repeatedly.
But that would probably help us. That would inform the discussion.
I will get an answer to your question and inform City Manager Bergner.
Okay, thank you.
It would also be helpful if city manager could provide information if the FEMA rules were to go into effect, what the impact to Scappoose would be. That'd be helpful. Thanks.
Is there anything like that, Betsy, that you're aware of that shows the impact of what it would be on Scappoose or Columbia County?
Yes, and I can get you more detail what they're doing. In the first iteration, FEMA said they were going to negotiate with jurisdictions, whether they were cities or counties. And then abruptly last year, they said no. And they said, you get to pick one of three untenable choices, affectionately referred to as the pick'ems. And I'm sure that your city manager has heard of the pick'ems. It would have required you to change your comp plan. And they were all contrary to local land use. They were heavy-handed federal regulations that I already said in my testimony, sometimes ran contrary to what communities wanted to do or what communities thought were good for them. And by our litigation, we have forced them to stall the imposition of the pick'ems. In some cases, the communities were badgered into accepting pick'ems, Vernonia, for example, because they were told erroneously that they would have to pay back massive amounts of FEMA disaster relief. And so with your leave, I will work directly with your city manager to try to get you something that is a little more definitive than what I presented rather hastily tonight and in an embarrassed fashion because you're asking to give money to kids and old people, and I'm one of them. And now I'm coming in saying, help us fight the federal government. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Great.
Thank you for your
Appreciate it.
patience.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to the consent agenda. No more public comment. Susan, nothing online. Okay, we'll close public comment. Consent agenda tonight is May 4, 2026 City Council work session minutes and May 4, 2026 City Council meeting minutes. Looking for someone to make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Council Marquis makes a motion to approve. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Councilor Ryuta. Any more discussion? Being none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we are joined once again by the famous Parker Rodriguez. She was one of the contestants in the If I Were Mayor contest, and she won in her division for Scappoose, and it went on to the state level where her poster placed third in state. in the poster category. And so they send it a little award here. And I will hand it to you. Congratulations. It's $100 check for one. So now you're a professional, no longer an amateur. We'll rub that in your brother's, show that to him for sure. There's your, we didn't have time to get one of those real big ones that you, but there's your check. So you want to show it to and let Susan take a picture of you holding up your beautiful check. Okay, congratulations. Thank you very much. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Thank you. That is great. We've had now 2 or 3 statewide winners in the top 3, and that's great. Keep that up. Brother will be next year. Okay, we're now on to interview for student council representative, number 3 in your packet. We're joined by Michael Sixwell. You want to come on up here? Yes, and really speak good into the microphone. We can hear you, but the microphone allows them to pick it up online and to be recorded. Joel, I was going to ask, do you want to run this at all, or are we just going to go through the questions?
Well, we only have one applicant.
Right.
So we can probably make this pretty informal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, appreciate it very much. You kind of understand what this entails. I'm sure you got some information from Joel and Tyler.
Yes.
And really appreciate you stepping up. So if any of you guys have any specific questions, you can. We'll just kind of go through informally, get to know you a little bit. Why did you want to serve as a city council representative?
I really want to give back to my community and my school district as much as possible. It has given me many opportunities to grow, as a person, as a student, and as a leader in my community. So I see it as a way to give back everything that I have been given.
Thank you. What kind of extracurricular activities have you been involved in?
I've been involved in the high school chamber choir, high school theater troupe, swim team, bowling team, fencing club. I was a student leader for fencing club. I am part of a youth leadership organization called Brigand Malay. I was a part of Civil Air Patrol for about a couple months. And I've been selected for American Legion Boys State, if any of you know what that is. That's some of my extracurriculars.
Michael, can we just go back to very basics for a minute? Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, how old you are? Have you always lived here? Just whatever.
No, originally,
just bio.
Originally, I was born in Portland, and I moved around a little bit, but I moved here beginning of 8th grade. I'm a junior at the Scappoose High School.
Thank you.
And thank you for your interest in this. It is a time commitment, meeting every Monday or every other Monday, or first or third Monday. Given all of the extracurriculars that you do, how will that work into your schedule?
Right now, it works fine. I have stepped down from theater, stepped down from a couple of my extracurriculars, but with my schedule currently, it should work out fine.
Great. And then what do you personally hope to gain from this experience?
What do you mean in terms of?
What would you like to get out of being on council, whether it's kind of personal, like professional development, or do you have particular interests in local government?
I do kind of want to get involved more with my town government. I want to develop myself more as a professional and use the skills that I've learned in previous extracurriculars and other activities to put all of the knowledge and skills that I have for the betterment of people that I know in this community.
Great, thank you.
What do you think for young people in Scappoose? What do you think's something that the city could help out with?
Probably what I see right now is Actually, could you rephrase that, please?
Yeah, just if the city could support the youth of Scappoose, from your perspective, what are some challenges that the youth here have that the city could help out with?
Personally, one of the things that I see is, I don't know if you've seen them, but I see these e-bikes that are becoming more prominent on the street. And a lot of times I don't see some of the youth that ride them, they don't wear helmets at all. And those things end up being able to go really fast. And there's no real permits or license or anything that you need for. It just seems like the youth that I see kind of endanger themselves more than they realize. So I feel like it would be better to have some kind of reminder as to, not allow them to hurt themselves so easily.
Mr. Sixwells, that is a very astute observation. I was having that same question as I was driving down the street earlier today. But I noticed that you were wearing an Oregon DeMolay shirt, and you mentioned in your paper that you're a member of that. I wasn't aware that DeMolay was active in this area. Is that Lodge 32 sponsored, or
Yes.
is that, it is Lodge 32?
I made a presentation to the lodge about a year and a half ago to allow them to sponsor a chapter out in the St. Helens area, in this area.
So you are a founder of the DeMolay group out in this
Yes.
area?
I was
Very-
originally a member of the Milwaukee chapter at Milwaukee when I lived in that area for a while. And I'm currently a state officer in Oregon DeMolay.
Well done. I'm actually a life member of Lodge 32. So if I may ask one more question, please. I'm also an alum of Oregon Boys State back in the olden days. What did you take away from your experience in that exercise?
I haven't gone through it yet. I'm
Oh,
going
you've been
through it.
nominated to it, but
Yes,
you
been
haven't attended
nominated.
yet. All right. So what are you looking to find at that exercise?
Again, personal growth, professional growth, but also I enjoy traveling and I enjoy making friends and gaining just the experience of being around other people and growing with other people.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Two quick ones. Do you have aspirations or at least a goal past high school, what you're kind of looking at doing?
After high school, I was looking, after high school, maybe take a year just to tie off, my extracurriculars and then possibly go into law enforcement or the military.
Yeah, because we'd like to be able to help direct you in your passion or whatever through this council. Kind of what I see it, and we're all maybe a little different, and over the year you'll get it from us, what I see your role is with us. I think you're gonna be a good liaison for the high school. You'll be able to go back to them with things that are going on in the city, both budgetary, law enforcement, safety, that will be a big one, safety. And then you'll also be able to bring us things, issues that come up throughout the high school. And if you can get around to any other schools, see some of the issues that the kids are experiencing and bring them to us to see how we as a city can help. That's kind of what I'm looking to get from you and help you with as well. So appreciate you volunteering for this. She had mentioned time. We are online as well. So if there are times you're out of the city or whatever, you can log into our meeting. Be happy to have you up online. Any more questions?
Yeah. Yeah, Michael, we all very much appreciate your interest and involvement in potentially involvement in the city. And one of the things we would hope to cultivate in this coming year within your senior year is to increase involvement among your colleagues at the high school, especially the juniors and seniors. So you don't have to answer this right now, but I'd like you to be kind of thinking about this as you move forward. As how we can kind of cultivate more interest in city government among your classmates. But again, we appreciate your interest here.
Yeah, it was great talking to all of you.
Kind of moving on, then, do we have a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Haugen,
I move we approve of Michael Sixwells as the second inaugural student representative to Scappoose City Council.
Motion by Counselor Hoggan to accept Michael Sixwells as our second student representative for 2026-27 council. Any more, a second?
Second.
Second by Council President Miller. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So you'll see, Susan will get you some information and all the meeting dates and stuff, and we'll make room for you over here on the table, and you'll come to our meetings, take notes. At the end of the meeting, we usually just do a quick update, and if you have anything you want to give us at that time. So if you want to stick around, this should be a pretty quick meeting. If you can't stick around, see how it kind of goes through the end of the meeting.
And further, we would value your inputs on issues that come up on council. So that's another aspect of this. We would really like your input and opinion on things.
And if you can't come up with them right then, write them down, email us, ask us questions. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on now, we have a National Public Works Week proclamation. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday life, whereas the support and understanding of informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operations of public work systems and programs such as water, sewers, streets and highways, public buildings, solid waste collections. The efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works parts is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. So therefore be it resolved, I, Joseph A. Backus, Mayor of the City of Scappoose, hereby proclaim the week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week in the City of Scappoose. And I call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public work officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Thank you. If got a Kevin, where do you come on that? Okay. Lucky one here. Okay, now we're moving on. Number 5, CLUR Contract Authorization Extension Wastewater Treatment Plant Phase 1 Project. Today, we're joined with Treatment Plant Superintendent Kevin Turner and Public Works Contract Administrator Mattia Hall. Staff report.
Mr. Mayor and Council, we're here tonight to discuss extension of the contract, and Mattia did a lot of work on it, so we're going to let her have at it and answer any questions you have.
On June 3rd, 2024, City Council approved the contract authorization for McLaren Sons to complete the wastewater treatment plant Phase 1 improvement project. The contract approval stated a not to exceed amount of $16,384,397. During the course of the project, there have been a total of 10 change orders to date, which has brought the full project price to the maximum of the previously authorized amount. On May 7th, 2026, the city received a final change order packet from Comsur Engineers on behalf of McLaren Sons. This packet details the remaining change orders necessary to finish the wastewater treatment plant Phase 1 project and includes items such as headworks beams, flooring building roof, generator slab addition, and effluent flow meter valve, among others. These changes are anticipated to equal $188,641. Staff is requesting a $250,000 increase in the total authorization to cover the currently requested changes from McLaren Sons and any unforeseen additional changes that should arise during the completion of this project. This increased authorization would bring the total amount to $16,634,397. Funding sources for this project, which include ARPA and an SRF loan, have a total remaining balance of $8,968,130. The estimated remaining amount to be invoiced, which includes this change order request from McLaren Sons, is $3,462,877. Staff recommends that council approve authorizing city manager Bergener not to exceed budget of $16,634,397 for McLaren Sons for the purpose of completing the wastewater treatment.
First one I have, the estimated remaining amount, is that including 188,000?
Correct.
250, but that's
Yeah,
what they're
that's
hoping.
total including this request.
And a lot of this was funded through ARPA.
Correct.
And on change orders, how does that actually work? I mean, do they bring them to you typically, like, hey, we're seeing this that we didn't see before, fits, and they got to redo stuff? Sometimes you guys bring up, they might say, hey, if we bring this in, it's going to increase your output or something, and you guys say, that looks good to us, let's add it.
It's a combination of things that occur on site, whether it's something that was missed in the drawings. It's hard to identify all those little or big things. There's a list about 21 items, most significant being the effluent vault, the meter. That's just a change on the existing one. It's still the original from 92. It's a ultrasonic versus a mag meter, so it's increase in accuracy. Other items, significant additional paving that goes around the new aeration basin.
So Kevin, did we use an engineer for this or a consultant when they originally spec'd everything and came up with estimates? Is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay.
Consort, engineer.
And then so these things that are additional right now, are those, they're not things that were necessarily missed, they're just, how does that?
Right, there's things that you come across in the field like your existing pipe, so something has to be relocated, or the lights on the aeration basin that are on this list. The new ones are adjustable, so you don't have to have a ladder when you're out there hanging out over the liquid. Little things like that.
Okay.
And to you, all the change orders, they're all legitimate and good and were ones that you agreed with? I mean, do you sometimes tell them, no, we don't
Oh, yeah.
need that?
Yeah, well, there's been several that we've passed on recommendations, so.
And then Ben, this is probably more of a question for you. So when we initially authorized this, was it a not to exceed, and what did our amounts look like then?
I wasn't here for the original.
Oh,
Yeah, the original proposal on there, but
do you remember, Kevin, what are?
The original not to exceed amount, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I guess it's already pointed out here on the front page. I'm sorry.
Have we had to do an increase like we're doing tonight before on this project? Like I didn't ask for
There's
more?
been several increases through the transition of the project and before it was finalized. Originally, it started at $6 million, the original plan, but that was just throwing things out there. As it developed and engineered and identified other issues and significant upgrades, there was a change in process from originally it was clarifier going to be built in the aeration basin. That was pulled out and the aeration basin was put in for significant reasons. So it's evolved and got us to the 16 million. These are just the last few things here to complete the project. Significant completions in July.
So by later July, this will be up and running and fully operational. And
In June, we're going to transition with Flow. We're in the process of testing all new equipment right now. Tomorrow's a significant day. Some of the mixers inside the aeration basin. June 2nd, the aeration system itself will be charged up and tested.
will this change anything, the way it's processed? I mean, does stuff come out different? Does it change or just handled? Well,
Yeah,
I mean, the
there's-
stuff that goes into the biosolids dryer, will it be different once it goes through this process versus the old system?
Focus is on the denitrification process, ammonia reduction. So there's different cells in the aeration basin that are going to achieve that. Different anoxic zone and different levels of aeration to achieve the goal. And it's got a long-term focus. Our permit shouldn't change too much. But we'll have probably some more ammonia testing that we'll have to do. As far as the overall process, the end product's gonna remain about the same.
And then phase 2 is a few years down the road, couple.
And only
So, I guess this is a question for Ben, an administrative question. Say, in the 2024, the amount for not to exceed was 16,384,397 to follow up on Tyler's question. And that hasn't changed.
Right.
And so why are we here?
The total amount has changed for what we proposed.
Brings us to 16.
It was 16.3 to 16.6.
16,680. Mine's exactly the same.
No, 16,384 to 16,634.
250,000.
Oh, okay, I got there.
Too many
Okay.
close.
300, okay.
And I'll say this, like you said, 2024, costs have changed as well as, and since then. Is this in our budget? I mean,
Yeah, so as I mentioned, with the $16 million, $20 million project, there's a lot of changes in a couple of years as you go through, whether it costs, whether it be staff initiated, vendor initiated. There's a lot of things that happen when you're just putting a project together. One thing that I know we were looking at with this funding, as I mentioned, ARPA is there, but the loan that we have for a good portion of this is a crazy great rate. It's under 2%. And so they try to put as much stuff in that loan, and there's still lots of room for that because the cost of capital is so cheap with that for the long-term purpose of that. So through the different 10 change orders, 11, there's a variety of things that and purposes and reasons that happened. But hitting that target at the end with $16 million is sometimes not a perfect science, especially when unforeseen things come up during the project.
so just over a 1% increase.
Yeah.
On Pentagon standards, that's nothing.
Well, what was the original amount though? Because this is a not to exceed amount, we originally approved it. Do you recall what the original bid was?
well, it's bounced around several times. It was 6 and it was 12, and then somewhere in the process, towards the end, there it was finished up at 16.
I'm just curious what they came in at the time the council approved this.
Right, what
In
contingency did they allow?
24, yeah, how much,
I don't
how
remember.
far are we over what their actual bid was? Because this was not to exceed. Okay,
It was pretty close to 16. I mean,
Okay.
I do remember that goal.
not that it makes a difference, I'm just curious.
And the loan was for 20 million, so we knew we had that amount available.
Right.
And so this is gonna be basically through ARPA dollars, but also funded by your bill. We pay the loan off with, service fees rates from the consumer. Okay,
I have just one last question. So I'm sure in addition to just needed system improvements, is this investment also giving us additional capacity?
Yeah.
Okay,
So currently our capacity is 3.4 million. This will get us about 6.5 million gallons with this phase. That still leaves a weak spot till phase 2 is completed. So our clarification and our effluent line to the Multnomah Channel will need to be upgraded to complete that portion of the capacity issue.
okay, so this is an investment in future capacity. We can nearly double
Yeah.
capacity.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
it can handle like a lot more, but then going out of it, we're gonna need to improve that to handle the increase that it can handle.
A lot of the old aeration basin, we only had one. In this setup, this first phase, now we have redundancy in the aeration basin. We have redundancy in ultraviolet disinfection. Most of those pumps were original to the 92 upgrade. Some of them have been repaired multiple times, so those have all been upgraded as well. To
Most of
improve
those
that capacity
92.
and reliability, yeah.
Looking for a motion to approve the contract extension.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council authorize city manager Bergener a not to exceed budget of $16,634,397 from McClure and Son for the purpose of completing the wastewater treatment plant.
Motion by Counselor Homes to authorize city manager Bergener not to exceed budget of $16,634,397 from McLaurin Sons for the purpose of completing the wastewater treatment plant. Any second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Haugen. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, guys. Okay. He's not joining us for this one? Okay, we are now gonna talk about, we're back into work session discussion on the 2026 sewer rate realignment. Treatment plant superintendent Kevin Turner with the report.
Okay, let me start off by saying, I am familiar with this presentation, but it is not my presentation, so ask questions and we can get through this together. So there's a review. You guys have already talked about the rates and the multifamily. You've been there, talked about that. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So there's our annual revenues. And the breakup of where those come from. 72% roughly is single family, 5% for manufactured home and commercial industrial, small portion for manufactured homes. So commercial and industrial is about 5%. Same for manufactured homes. Okay.
So in manufactured home, we have two of them, but they bring in 149,000. That two manufactured home sites.
Sites, yes. Yeah.
Parks.
So majority of the income there is through regular residential, 92%. Any questions on this slide? Let's pump to the next one. Okay, so we've had this 7% rate strategy, rate increase going for several years. And we're still doing that, scheduled to do that this year, it looks like. Single family residential will be 84.22. Change in the consumption rate, 7 cents. Multifamily 84.22. Again, 7 cents on the consumption. We've been at that consumption level for a long time. It was 4 cents. I think when we started doing the cost of living adjustments, that's been increased. But it's based on the same usage. Commercial base rate, 84.22 again. So the new look, the current schedule has consumption rates based for industrial and commercial. There's a huge table that calculates, I think we got it years ago from City of Gresham, that rates the different units, what they contribute to the sewer system. There's been a new study, a new survey done by Astoria recently that we've looked at and want to mirror that. There's a lot of work involved into testing each commercial industrial facility for their strength of sewage that they send to the plant. So going with what's already been done will save quite a bit of money. And reducing those 20-some categories into 3 with all different rates based on a range of what they contribute to the treatment plant. And those are at the bottom. They're on the blue section.
Hey, Kevin, real quick, is it okay if I add one thing? So if the council remembers, we came a couple of months ago, David proposed this, and we originally had a multi-unit, multifamily reduction, it was gonna be like 20% reduction if they were multi-family. The council had asked the staff to go back and take that off. They weren't for having a discount or reduction for that, but having to pay the same. So this reflects taking that off, so we don't have that as an option anymore. And then we still have the proposal where David talked about, and as Kevin had mentioned, where we have all these different, like a ton of different qualifications for different commercial ratepayers that we want to consolidate down to these 3 categories to make it easier for accounting. There's a lot of reasons to simplify that, and it is the industry standard as well. Additionally, with this adjustment that the proposal is showing, as opposed to doing the standard 7, the recommendation is that we'd only need to increase 5% for the base rate. So it's actually a reduction in our normal process. And that's because we're shifting some of the burden to the commercial side, whereas there was overburdened on the residential side compared to standards. And that's kind of where so since we're shifting some of that, it allows us to give it less of a rate for the regular base rate, which is great to do less than we were going to do before.
So ultimately, we're not obviously lowering it because rates are always going up.
Right.
Instead of increasing it, this number, even on an average use at 10 cents versus 7 and only 20 gallons of base, it's still less than if we were to do the green plan, most likely.
It gives
For
customers more
residential.
flexibility to reduce their bill by using less water.
Yeah, because the base rate is lower. It's
Right.
not 7%, it's 5%.
Right.
And then, like you said, offset it with, we have to still get to the same bottom line, so commercial is gonna pay
Right.
a little bit more based on usage.
Kevin, do you know what the average usage is for a residential unit? Scappoose?
The average usage, I believe, let's see. I don't right this second. What's in my head is the average residential BOD and TSS is around 250 parts per million. You have that.
Is CGAL cubic gallon or?
That's 100. So those are 2,000 gallons versus 4,000 gallons, the old consumption rate. Seasons.
10 cents per 1,000 gallons?
Per 100 gallons?
Per 100.
gallons?
So with the 20 and the C, that makes 2,000 gallons.
So if you did 100 gallons, that's only $10 a month
10 cents per.
or 10 cents per 100.
Oh, yeah. So
So
If you did 100, it's only 10 cents.
a couple slides down,
Do the math.
that one, yeah. That shows you the difference in the consumption expectation and the difference in the residential rate, yes. It's pretty much a wash. It's just a different structure. The majority of this plan is like Ben said, is to focus on the commercial. Those who are contributing more are going to be charged more. There's more of a treatment process for those higher loads.
And will you then bring this, you said by July 1, so do we need to vote on this, or is this just thumbs up, thumbs down, they do it, or we vote on something by July 1?
Yeah, so we could bring an official proposal back in June, so that's effective July 1. Probably with the fee resolution.
So-
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I appreciate the Public Works Department looking at this to try to right size fees to users. Because I can tell you, every time we have a booth at a community event, someone comes by and complains about the residential rates, whether they're water rates or sewer rates. So I think this is a good example of how the city is looking at providing relief for residents in a fair way.
There's some flexibility there for
Mhm.
residents to reduce.
What is BOD TSS? Is it some suspended solids or?
Biological oxygen demand, that's the strength of the wastewater. So the higher that number is, the more basically air we need to supply to make things happen in a productive way down there in the microbiology.
Is a restaurant different than a home?
Typically, yeah. So the more things, debris that go down the sewer, it increases the BOD, and the TSS is the solids portion of it. So we have to remove that as well.
So there's something where the outflow from these establishments goes in that's monitoring these levels.
That's why it's beneficial to use somebody else's, the national data as far as these things. We'd have to purchase the equipment, set it up in manholes, or actually go in to the different facilities and sample and multiple times to do that.
Oh, I
Pretty
see. So-
time consuming for us.
So we're going by some tables that have.
Yes, somebody else has already done the work, and for years, there's been the national standard on laundromats and facilities with kitchens, facilities with showers and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we already had all the businesses separated by a much more intense schedule, but we're trying to simplify based off of industry standards out there as well. And Steve put this together, like you said, as mentioned with Astoria, had recently adopted this or done a lot of the research as well. So as opposed to reinventing the wheel, like, we're using the research that they did.
Do we have any commercial free you think commercial
No.
within Scappoose?
We don't. Let me see that rate. Commercial 3, I mean, we get spikes here and there, but we don't individually test facilities, but we're fortunate on my end. We don't have these facilities as far as treatment. It's pretty standard. Summertime, when you don't have the dilution, we get some higher numbers, but
It is one issue on businesses coming here is our water supply and that this is also gonna be affected. They're using a lot of water. Also probably going down the drains as well, unless they're reusing it somehow to cool tools.
if there's a significant industry that comes down, they'd have to do their own pre-treatment. There's pre-treatment programs. They would have to be in with our limits before they could discharge anything to the sewer. Like when the old sauerkraut facility was in town, they had a pre-treatment facility. Most of it was pH adjustment.
And Ben as city manager, I mean, the city, Public Works, and Steve put this together, consultant, but you seeing it all, it looks good financially to allow us to cover our costs.
Right. There's always a little bit of unknown how people change their behaviors, but so there's some projection based off of, well, it's a projection. So what we anticipate, but you never know how people change. But once again, this is, as Kim mentioned, a reduction compared to what we would do if we didn't change it. It does provide some type of relief. So yeah, as opposed to 7%, it'd be a 5%. It would change. It does change the 40 or 4,000 gallons before they get charged to 2,000. So there's a little bit of a change on that one. And then the commercial goes into those three categories, or the three changes that are being proposed. I guess 4 with the rate reduction in this.
And this doesn't change a lot with new housing because, I mean, it increases, but the revenue does as well as the use. That they're all accounted for. I mean,
Yeah, the upgrades will give us capacity for growth, and those additional revenues will pay for all that stuff as well.
Well, I think you've done nice job with this.
appreciate it.
There's another component that's looking forward there. This is page 101. 2 back. One more forward. There you go. In the brown section there, in order to keep pace with increases, looks like plan is to do 3% annually.
That instead of the 5? Is that-
Oh, no. So yeah, so it's 5% this year, and then going forward, now that we've made those, it would be to either tier it at 3% as a minimum or the construction cost index, 20 city average, whichever is greater.
To start in July 27th. We can talk more about that as we go through.
Did you put in our budget based on this?
Well, yes, no. I mean, as we projected, it's around the same revenue. So
Yeah.
we put in the anticipated revenue, and the structure is really up to you. Right.
So look to have an official vote next month then?
Yeah, the direction, is there any feedback from the council? You good with this to move forward? Or if there's any concerns with that? Otherwise, Kevin can put together with Mattia a resolution for June, that we can make it adopted starting July 1st. And then the staff will have to go in and make the adjustments in our system as well to change the categories for the commercial and be ready for that. So.
Okay, and I'd do like report back to us sometime later in the fall, see how it goes. Give your input. I agree with it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Good idea.
Great. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so
So-
maybe a little more discussion. We're looking at canceling the June 1, looking at the agenda right now. Oh, let's get back to CEP.
Oh, is that
No, 7.
seven? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. We're looking at canceling right now. Nothing's on the June 1 agenda still, nothing's updated. And then we're also added because July 6th, right after the holiday, looking at those. I wanted to kind of get some people's feedback. I don't mind necessarily canceling, especially if there's really nothing on agenda that we're really missing. Sometimes it's tough this far in advance because maybe in a week or two, we do need to have that meeting. But our policy is we probably don't even need to vote on this, correct? I mean, our official.
I believe the charter leaves it up to you to decide on that.
And so by rule, could we say on May 22, hey, we don't have anything on the agenda, we can cancel that by an email?
You could,
I
yes.
mean, if we had to, I mean, but we like to, obviously with transparency, giving everybody planned well in advance, we cancel in advance. But we've had a few of these lately. I just kind of want to get everybody's feeling on them.
Well, July and August are gonna be kind of vacation months usually are for people. So do the counselors have an idea if they are going to be able to attend the July meetings and the August meetings? And then we can kind of determine if we need to cancel any based on that.
Right, and for me, there's 2 reasons for the July one why we added it early, because it is July 4th weekend. Saturday is July 4th. And then that's also that week I'll be gone at the OCCMA summer conferences that week too. So on Monday I will be out of town as well.
Yeah, that one seems definitely to make more sense. I mean, it's right after. I always think, is it better to cancel than to move it to the next week and then have 2 in a row? Obviously, if something really came up and we needed to vote
special
on a
meeting.
contract or something, we could always do a special meeting. The August 3rd meeting, I believe it is. I unfortunately did not double book, so I will be either virtual and Tyler can run it, or if we have it. But August 3rd is not my first one in 4 years that I won't be at. But you still can have it. Are we good for July? I think we do need to keep the July 20th. If that's the date, is that the one where we're really looking at public hearing for the UGB, the 50-year plan? Is July 20th?
Right, I mean, the other ones we're not looking to cancel, just the June 1st and July 6th is what's on
Yeah,
here.
so I mean, we talked about, we'll have July 20th. I don't think it is July 20th, is it? Because it is July 20th. We'll have that regardless. If nobody has any problem and wants to make a motion to cancel June 1 and July 6 meetings,
Mr. Mayor,
Council Howard,
I move that we cancel the June 1 and July 6 meetings.
motion to cancel June 1 and July 6 meetings. Any second?
Yeah, second.
Second by Council Marquis. Only discussion I would have is again, if something really comes up, if there's business that needs to be had, maybe not on those dates, but we'll meet as much as we have to, probably not more than we need to. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. CEP discussion, kind of wanted to reopen that, especially with 2 new counselors. NJ's not here to kind of explain, but anybody have any questions on the process and where we're going from here?
Well, I have a question. So, back when Tyler and I were together on council, each counselor was divvied up, so in this case, $20,000 divided by 7. And then you individually apportion that. And I really like that method rather than trying to go through some statistical manipulations.
I did too. I mean, I wish that way we would have done 21,000. That way we would all would have had 3,000 equally. But, maybe we can put something together to give NJ, like, we can still vote on them. If, you know, you deem these 8 are funding worthy, and then we each have an amount we can put towards those. If it's all 11, but then, yes, because there's some that I might want to give 1,000 to, or I mean, I guess I only have 2,800 or so, so. I
Well,
won't-
that's exactly my point. This simplifies it. So you don't have to go into any kind of statistical manipulation. You say, okay, so we each divide $20,000 by 7, and then we apportion that amount into where we think is the most valuable or worthy.
Can we vote though in a way to determine whether they should be considered for funding? You don't have to give them any, but if in the past, we voted and if they got 4 yes votes, then they were eligible for funding.
Well, right, see, that's the point. We're simplifying this by doing it the old method. So if we have.
Well, that was a combination of both.
Yeah, so there's no scoring. It's just that, you know, so you might, your portion might be different than mine. In fact, it probably would be. And so we individually do that. You know, so divide 20,000 by 7, and that amount, then we apportion that segment among our beneficiaries.
So then if somebody gets a portion more than $3,000.
Well, no, we wouldn't give them more than 3. So condition on it, you don't exceed the amount that they requested. So you can give up to the amount, but you
could have a Excel spreadsheet that we're sharing that keeps the running total, and the first one's in there, get a fund it, and as soon as someone hits 3,000, and you then go in, mine are already filled. Well, that's fine, you just spread your money somewhere else.
It's a really simple way to do it, and there's no question about that. You published, you know, so Councilor Holmes will be probably different than mine, and so forth.
It will end up looking, I guess we'll do even dollar amounts, but it will look weird. Someone will get 1,300, and someone will get 30,000, someone will get 2,400.
Yeah, but that's all right, because it still reflects the reality of where the council's priorities are.
Is there anything where you do want to qualify some of these, or are all 11 eligible? Like, because in the past, we voted if you got 4 yes votes, then they were considered. You didn't have to give them any money, but they were.
Well, right, but I'm saying skip that, and we each individually apportion the funds.
But what if there's 3 on there that I don't think should have any funding whatsoever, and I don't
That's-
even want you to be able to fund them?
Well, that's your choice, you know, so we each have our own choices. So that's democratic.
We did talk about this a little bit last year because there are some pitfalls with that methodology of why NJ changed it, because there could be perceived favoritism to certain organizations from one counselor, or it's your favorite. Maybe they're talking behind the scenes, as opposed to the council typically operates as a whole. And that's why I went to at least the majority needs to say that it's worth the funding, as opposed to an individual person trying to give a full funding to maybe an organization that wouldn't have deserved it otherwise, based off of the council priorities as a whole. Those are some, I don't remember all of them, but those are some of the things he brought up last year.
That's the counter argument.
Right.
Well, and one other downfall to that was if, you know, they were asking for $3,000 and someone partially funded them for $250, how meaningful is that $250?
Right.
Right, towards
Yeah.
that project. So, I mean, maybe it's the first knockout round, and then what's left, we apportion.
But my point is, for 5 or 6 years, and Tyler can attest to this, it worked just really nicely.
I mean, I don't mind that. It's about $2,857 each. We can do, yeah. I do like the ability to have us vote as it, because we are a group, is if you vote on these 11, you just put yes or no. And if you have 4 yeses, they move on, the ones that don't, and then we do your thing with the remaining amount. Give them any amount you want.
Well, you're essentially doing the same thing. You're voting with your pocketbook, you know, with the.
Well, that's where, I mean, Ben is saying too, I could give 2,850 to one person.
Right.
And that does look like favoritism. Again, all these are public too, so everybody's gonna see your vote, so.
So if we are going to do it that way, would it make sense next year, then if we continue to do this, to put a minimum on there? To Kim's point, if, you know, somebody only funds them for 250, but they need 1,000 to do something, we should probably put a minimum on there too.
Yeah, I mean, right now we've got 11, let's see, and there's 28,599 requests for $20,000.
And I mean, given that we have a reduced amount, I'm definitely looking at this through a different lens of, which organization is going to have the furthest reach within the community this year than I previously did.
Do you feel then you have like, I got 4 that should be fully funded, or do you have them kind of tiered to where, in your mind, one's a 3,000 and one's a 2,900, one's 28, or?
I've got 7 that I would allocate my portion to.
Could we ask then NJ to send these out as 11, just say yes, vote yes or no if you think they should be considered for funding. And then when he gets it back, he'll say, okay, these 9 had at least 4 votes. You guys get Jeanette. And then these 9, you have $2,857 to divide amongst those 9. And it's a running total, so once someone hits 3,000, they don't get any more.
That
But
could
then
work.
that goes public, so it will show,
Right.
I didn't give any money to the public library because by the time I looked up, they had already been fully funded, which is fine. I'll give my money. So I would have given them money, but I'll give it somewhere else.
The one caveat of that, we don't want to run past public meeting laws and making approvals as a quorum. Outside of that, through, be considered a serial communication likely, since it's making these qualify, these do not by majority of the quorum. I wonder if there's a way we can still get that all done in one shot to end, so we can consolidate it. Maybe a mix of what you said with.
That's my whole point, is simplifying this.
Yeah.
We did, before we voted, we did it right now at a public meeting, vote yes, no. And we did the yes, no, and if you
Yeah,
had 4
you wanna-
yeses,
Should we just run through it now?
we can.
Well, but there's a downside to that, because there's some, like I mentioned to Ben earlier, there's one that I want to do some diligence on before even considering it.
When do we need to have this done by?
Next June 15th meeting.
We might be able to put, I don't think there's a hard deadline for them. They'll be happy with the money either way. The movie Moonlight and the Movies in the Park is August. I don't know when their specifics are, but
Probably finish it all by the next meeting, even if we had to do it during the meeting. Then maybe just start discussing it.
yeah, I'll have NJ send out information. If we can spread it over 2 meetings, we can come back with the results of those yes, nos, and then you could do some funding allocations based off of those and do it in July, or whether they do it all in one. I'll have to send out something saying that that's kind of the route you guys are looking at.
I do feel the feeling is more like Joel, it's like, one, voting is should they, maybe if we have questions on them, do our due diligence, see if they're eligible to vote on. Then we vote on them, and then if you received enough yeses, you're considered. That way it's a council decision on whether they get funding.
Also, just a question I have, I don't know if it's in the requirements or not, or the eligibility. One of these has 2 applications in here. Is that something that you want to consider both, or take one or the other?
I would keep them, I'm gonna keep them separate, but,
Okay.
but the funding will reflect that in my mind, if I do.
Yeah, if they don't get the 4 check marks.
What is the application? So I don't remember on this. Can one organization apply twice? Because
Well, that's what I was asking. I don't have I'll have to talk to NJ about that or pull up the
I
requirements.
think it has happened. I think, didn't the Historical Society apply separately for Fight Light?
And they are 2
did
different
the Wat-
projects.
I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Let's talk to them and see. Obviously.
Yeah, maybe that just gets vetted out by the yes, nos of the ones that are most important, if there's enough on there.
And we're not deciding it in a public, if we don't do reply all and he just says, please give me the vote of should it be considered,
Right.
and he doesn't tell us who. I mean,
Right.
unless that needs to be, we can publish that later at a meeting. I mean, here was the sheet.
Yeah, I'll just, like I say, I just want to make sure that we're squared away. I'll talk to NJ and make sure that
Right.
whatever that proposal is will work for public meeting laws.
But I do like the ability to take my 2,800 or whatever, that to them all.
Sure.
If I see one didn't quite get as much, I'll give them more to get them up.
Is it in our, like, is it okay to support religious organizations as a city? I was curious about this preschool.
Is it okay? Yeah. Anybody who's a nonprofit or qualifies, we have to apply it across the board for
And I
anybody.
do think the preschool, it's probably, I don't think it's religious based.
Yeah,
It's in a preschool, but it is a preschool. I think a lot of, my kids went to Grace Lutheran Preschool. They didn't go to church.
And there's no discrimination, so.
Yeah, families of all faiths send their kids there.
Did you have questions about the senior center one at all? Is that one of your questions, the due diligence?
Well, that's one, yeah. I got a couple there that are.
Yeah, for me on that is, I mean, maybe I do bring it up because we have funding for them in the budget. I
Yep.
want to ask us, do we feel that that qualifies more for that funding versus this funding? Are we giving them the $10,000 or whatever we have in the budget?
We recategorized. We didn't have those set aside for specific organizations. It was just a general category per our
Kind
last
of a
conversation.
Community,
Right, just in case.
Same with the
But they
parks.
hadn't requested any of that money the last couple of years. They're self-sustaining. So it was
okay,
discussed both ways that maybe CEP was the best
That's
method
fine.
for them
It's not-
or,
specifically allocated as senior money. that we
Right.
have there.
Well, that's a whole nother topic because since they started bingo back up, can they afford it and they're just asking to, supplement their budget or, there is a lot of questions here because some of these have actual deliverables like Columbia County Hub and then that are measurable and some don't. It's just, I don't know.
I think
right,
they'll-
and some of them did mention that they're gonna do it regardless of the money. It's just kind of extra.
They'll
to have
probably,
other
try to say, this
sources.
is the thrift store, not the senior center, it's part of them, but they haven't ever got any funding and that benefits a lot of people that use that store and provide jobs and so they're looking for that.
Application that does say applications are limited to funding of one project or organization.
One project for,
One project per organization.
Yeah.
So they can apply for both, but they can only win one. So when you're rating those, determine which one you for sure are most interested, if that is a qualified
So
applicant.
it's one or the other.
we should versus 1,000 each. I mean, you give him two, he can put the money wherever he wants, but we should say really only for one organization. One
Then-
project per organization.
So that one maybe doesn't, for that applicant, we probably need the project with the highest number of yeses, not just a minimum of 4 yeses.
Correct.
Good there? Moving on?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to the calendar. We're now on May 18th, EDC meeting has been canceled. Farmers Market every Saturday, 9 to 2. Go out and listen to their great music. May 25, offices closed in observance of Memorial Day. June 1, no meeting. June 15th, we have a URA meeting at 6:30, followed by city council at 7 PM. The offices are closed on June 19th. We have for June. City Manager Ben Bergener with your updates.
Yes, give me 1 second. I left it in my office. We do have a
I'm ready.
Question.
Michael, do you want to give us an update tonight?
These are gonna be, each department gives us a little something. Some people don't. If they don't have anything going on, we'll come to you. And if you have any updates, you want to give us anything happening at the high school, anything good that you've heard about it, this is when you would do it. Minute or two, nothing.
All right, so.
It's a long meeting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt if you were going to say.
No,
You're good. So the League of Oregon Cities, we were down at the spring conference, I guess up in Pendleton. They sent these out to the founding members of the League of Oregon Cities. There were 25 of us in 1925. We were one of those, so they wanted to recognize the city for being one of those founding members and being part of them for all these years. So they gave us this nice little plaque in recognition that we can hand up. Marsh.
Joel,
Hang up.
since you were there when they did that, you wanna?
Let's give it to the mayor over here. It's so there we go. We'll hang it up somewhere. And there's a real picture.
That was neat. That was only like our 4th year.
But not only.
Setting trends back then.
Our population, that we were under 1,000 people.
Right.
And yeah, we were one of the 25 founding members of the League of Oregon Cities. That's pretty cool.
It's really awesome. Other than that, we have some organizational changes that we're working on. We're excited for the many opportunities we have coming this summer with our projects as well. And other than that, we're moving on with just staff is doing a phenomenal job with all the things that they have tasked with them. And I appreciate all the work that they do. So nothing else to update at this time.
Thank you. Police Chief Llewellyn.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, councilors, and also those watching online. For police department, just a couple of things. Officer Cunningham still making it through the academy. Should be graduating here on late July. We have our CERT meeting next week. I'm very excited to say that we have the Oregon Emergency Management will be coming down to visit and talk to us. So it's great to build that relationship with them too as well as we go ahead and move through and continue to build up our team. In reference to public comment about what's the police department doing, I'm just going to kind of date myself here and quote my favorite host from Reading Rainbow, LeVar Burton. Don't take my word for it. I give out the CAD notes, which directly from dispatch, which shows what your police department does on a monthly basis. It double to the public from domestic violences, child abuse cases, or even removing trailers from West Lane that were dumped and tracking down a person and citing for criminal littering. That's what your police department does. So, and last but not least, for Memorial Day coming up, Mayor hit on it. Just want to sure people think about the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice for this great country. Any questions? That's all I have right now.
Appreciate it. I'm sure we'll talk to you in just a moment, a little further.
Okay.
Let's go, Councilor Ryuda.
Oh. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of matters that I'd like to bring up before the council. The first one, we had a very unfortunate pedestrian-involved accident a few weeks ago in our town. And a citizen contacted me very concerned about this and asked if there was anything that we could be doing that we are not presently doing that might prevent such a situation in the past. She mentioned that prior to this accident, a teacher was struck a couple of years before in the same location. And looking at the intersection myself, we already seem to have delayed walk signs against the traffic lights, so that's a benefit. But I also realize that this is a highway, and so it wouldn't simply be the action of the city that would be involved. We would have to be working with our counterparts at the Highway Division. But Council President Miller, I believe you're the head, you're the liaison for traffic and safety, and then of course the chief. So I'm bringing the question of a citizen. What more could we possibly be looking at doing for this? One thought I had was if we could secure a no turn on red, but again, I'm not quite sure that would be allowable with the highway division as well. And I'd appreciate thoughts, please.
My thoughts are, I mean, you guys are doing amazing work over the years, and I see it because I know what you guys have been talking about and trying. Not everybody does. I would like to see the messaging of maybe what we're doing and what we've been doing get out to the public more, because safety on the highway and safety in our city is our number one concern, and we really take it seriously. I did get some people reached out. One gentleman asked, is there resources to contact ODOT? Like if they have issues with highways or with lights, is there a link or somewhere that they can communicate with ODOT since they are also? But I was wondering if we could get maybe an update at the next traffic safety meeting that they're at. You know, what have we done lately? Like you said, the extended reds now, so cars can't go out right away. I mean, they've gone to blinking yellows. Looking at moving the school sign. Why is the school sign in front of Dairy Queen versus out down by the high school? I know you guys are working on it and it's important. You've been out there, especially at the beginning of the school year with your police cars. But just when you do these things, yeah, keep us apprised, keep us message. And the SRO with the school might be a great resource that may really help going forward. But I'd like to make it a little bit of a priority since we've seen it pop up every so often of an accident or something on the highway, just messaging to our community.
Right, and thank you very much for bringing it up too, Counselor, as well. So I also sit on the Clement County Traffic Safety Committee, which I've been done. I'm a voting member for a couple of years. I'll also say, though, I think one part is going through the root problem. I don't think speed in those situations that I've been a part of, investigated or issue, it comes down to driver inattention, unfortunately. Overwhelmingly, is what's causing an issue. So reducing the speed limit, I don't know, be that too much of an effect there. Well, for us, SRO is something we're working on too as well, and I'll continue to try to make it present to our police department too. But our community also needs to hopefully pay attention when you're making those turns and things of that nature too, to help all of us out. So lucky the child wasn't.
Chief, I want to make sure I heard you right. You said distracted driving's been the key in a lot of those.
Right.
Yeah.
Not going into too much information, but the last one, it wasn't due to speed. It was a person making a left turn was distracted by a K9, I believe, in the back of the vehicle. And local resident and knows the area. That's one of the biggest things when it comes down there. And it's not illegal to have a dog inside your car.
Yeah, one of the other issues we ran into also is rail comes into play too, not just ODOT and not just a city. So we also complicate it with the rails authority to be able to do things. And the port did I don't remember exactly what it's called. This is a couple of years ago now, but they actually did a study on it was X number of most dangerous intersections along Highway 30. It was a really interesting presentation. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you. But they did scope different solutions for that intersection specifically at 30 and High School Way. And there was some budgetary numbers that were thrown around with different potential solutions, and kind of make your eyes pop out when you see them. But yeah, I'll see if I can find that and send it to you.
Thank you very much.
And we will, does the ODOT rep come? I'm new to the Traffic Safety Committee, just throwing that out. Does the ODOT rep come every meeting?
Yes, usually he does, Council
Okay,
President.
all right.
So, and our next meeting for the Columbia County is going to be the first Wednesday every month. So I'll be attending that. And regardless, even though it was distracting, we'll keep working on solutions to having a presence. So hopefully get the message out to people, all of us, the parents too, who are dropping off kids, we got to go to work, but we got to pay attention.
I know right before my time, they did a study too on everyone talks about a bypass over the top.
Yeah.
They did a cost study and it was $30 million or so.
Yep.
And so it would be interesting to pull that back out and just let them know they've done a study and it is good in this situation or that situation. Here is the cost. Just to kind of, yeah, we would do it if it was the right thing to do, but the cost and the use of it just doesn't seem to work here, at least at the last time they did a study.
Thank you. And the second matter that's been brought to me also by local citizens are our friends who operate the local post office branch recently have found it necessary to be closing their box lobby after hours. And so previously, of course, the post office box lobby was open 24 hours a day for people, because we have many people in the community who work shift work, they work midnight shifts and such. And so getting through to normal business hours, it just isn't feasible for them to collect their mail. Unfortunately, there was a situation apparently that the local postal authorities thought it necessary to close the lobby. That's causing some difficulties for many of the local citizens in accessing their mail. And so I contacted the chief and asked if he would please reach out to the post office to see if there was anything that could be done. And of course, like he always does in such matters, he immediately acted. And I would like to just ask if there's an update on what the situation is there, please.
Yes, thank you, Counselor. Thank you for being a voice for your constituents too. So I did go to the post office, talked to one of the staff. It wasn't a postmaster. Based upon the information I gathered, it was due to some individual experience homelessness, not necessarily from our city who were staying there before. I was out of the town last week, but I will continue to follow up and see what we can maybe do to help ease their concerns that they have. I know our police department has responded to you before, help get people out here who may be causing who are not being allowed there by the post office standards. And we're trying to work and build that relationship up so they will hopefully be comfortable again to open it back up for our citizens. So that's the goal. And I'll follow up this week with the postmaster, hopefully see. But that's, I think, there's a extent of the problem based upon my conversation, sir.
Thank you very much.
And I do notice, I remember years ago, I saw a state trooper out here and he was tasked with looking for distracted drivers and phones and tech, and was hanging out around the high school. And I don't know if we ever had that relationship with, a group like that. Just maybe he was going city to city. That's what they were saying, what we really want you to focus on. And I don't know if that's still the case. That might have been right after the law went into effect. I'm not sure. But or the state trooper out there available to just look at that coming through our town?
I have a good relationship with our OSP park counterparts. They just responded to see with us earlier today. So I'll talk about that too. Maybe we can do some additional patrolling there, hopefully just get the word out. So
We can ask them to maybe spend more time in that area, but they're not gonna, Joe, just for clarification, they're not gonna like put their blinders on to other violations when they're out there. They're gonna go after all traffic violations to just kind of understand how it works.
include registration expiration. So it's a former trooper. So.
Well, that's where Ben and I over at the spring conference, these AI systems that Santa Monica is doing for applications like this, where there's a camera that identifies nefarious behavior and it broadcasts, and scares the hell out of people, and it's been very effective. And so for the Postal Service, that might be something useful. Maybe they don't even know about it. It looks pretty cool.
Thank you, sir. And like I said, I'll talk to the postmaster hopefully and get their feedback and see any solutions that will make them feel more comfortable. But they have the ultimate decision if they want to open up their facility again during that time frame.
Councilor Marquis.
Thanks. I don't have a whole lot to say. I just wanted to shout out the seniors at the high school who'll be graduating in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Congratulations to all of them.
Thank you. Councilor Haugen.
I'm just going to make this really quick. It could be an extended conversation, but I want to make sure the rest of council is aware of the school bond levy issue. I know the mayor is and Ben is, but earlier we talked about, with the school district that there's an option would be to expand the high school for a middle school, and then we would potentially get the old middle school and rehab it with the urban renewal funds. Well, apparently that's off the table for some strange reason. And so I think that's something we're gonna have to kind of keep our finger on the pulse on. Because that's a consequential choice if the option is, if they decide to go with, they have a 24-member committee. No one from the city was involved in that committee. A 24-member committee decided that the best choices were to stay on the same grounds, destroy the middle school, the old high school, and then expand, build a new middle school there, which begs a whole bunch of questions. But anyway, so I want to make sure that everybody's aware of that, that choice right now is not on the table. So it probably should be something that I think Ben maybe you've already followed up with that.
Yeah, prior to this meeting, I had already talked with, we had meetings with some board members of the school board as well as the superintendent. But I've also, since we last talked to some of the committee members as well, that they were going to bring that forward. They were expressed interest of the possibility, but so yeah, I have followed up, but it's their decision on
They had a
how they
meeting,
go
looks
forward
like
with
May
it.
16th.
Yeah, they just barely had one.
At the middle school.
I went to that one, yeah.
Did they bring it up by chance, any of them?
Well, I brought it up, but
Oh, yeah, okay.
it had no resonance.
I think they'll have another one coming up, so we'll post out when those meetings are, community meeting, talk about the bond.
But yeah, anyway, so that's just something that everyone on council should be aware of. And then very quickly, and I'll elaborate more on this later, but at the spring conference again, there's a couple issues, a couple ideas that I think that relates to our annual town meeting in particular. The keynote speaker was talking about the kind of a new mechanism they found productive for community engagement. And they took the kind of the stage out or the venue out of formal areas, formal, no council meetings, no council chambers, no city chambers or anything. And they called it an idea party. And so you could have all kinds of different flexibility with this idea party. And they got a lot of resonance with the population with that. So I think that's something we can explore, and I can elaborate more on that later. And then another one of the issues that came up at one of the conference sessions was revisiting your city charter. And that's something I think something we should really seriously look at. For example, the mayor's term, making that a 4-year term. And then the second part would be to change our structure from at-large to wards, because there's misrepresentation, it's where the east side is not represented as well as the west side. So I think there's a lot of equity there in having the ward approach to council seats. The mayor would still be at large, but anyway, I think we should be looking at that fairly soon, changing our charter to do that.
Joe went 6 years.
That way, 6 years are opposite 3 new councilors every time. Like 2. Same as 2.
But anyway, so those are discussions I think we should broach here before too long. And then I want to spend a special welcome to Michael, and I look forward to having him up with us here in the near future.
Thank you. Councilor Holmes.
Yes, just want to put in a plug for the new CERT team. So I think this group is going on its 5th meeting and it has really great momentum. So I really applaud the chief for pulling it together and really garnering some support across the city. This group is focused on emergency preparedness for the community. Being a member offers great training opportunities in basic medical, triage, search and rescue, just some basics to be an asset to the community in the event of an emergency that is of a scale that overwhelms first responders. So really encourage folks to come. Chief's done a great job making it fun. People have put out fires, flown drones. We're going to go through supply kits. So if folks are interested, come check it out last Tuesday of every month.
Great. Thank you. Council President Miller.
I do not have anything. Thank you.
Appreciate you all tonight. We have an outdoor festival coming up June 6th. I just want to send out a spreadsheet, see if any of you guys are available to sit at a table. We'll see, I'm gonna get the hours. And if there's anything that you guys want us to talk about or have a theme versus just the city of Scappoose, we could look at it maybe at our next meeting or talk about it if there's something we want to ask people as they come by.
Well, there is no next meeting before the 6th.
So if there is anything, I'll email. We don't want to communicate. We'll talk to Ben. And if you can think of anything we want to ask about, other than we'll just sit there and ask questions. I think she cut down the hours a little bit, so it won't be as long, but it's June 6th.
Should we have a dunk tank for the mayor?
I don't rent them that early in the year.
No, all right. It's just a thought.
Well, unfortunately, that's going to be a tough weekend. Hopefully our baseball and softball teams are in state championship games like they've been in the past. And graduation was moved up the night before, so it won't be on a Saturday anymore. Good, for at least this year. And then we answered the questions and talked about safety, which I think on the highway we want to continue with. That's all I have tonight. So meeting adjourned.